So, what if the very thing that you've been using to cope with your anxiety is actually the source of it? Today, I'm exposing the relationship between anxiety, women, and alcohol. And that very relationship is what kept me trapped and stuck in my personal anxious hangover for years. So, let's stay right on track today and talk about what my title promises, and that's finding peace from your anxiety if you're concerned that it might be fueled by alcohol. So, in a few minutes, we're going to touch on the actual reason for this, and it just might have a huge impact on your choices moving forward when it comes to deciding if you keep drinking or if you try to quit. There have been so many surprising advantages to quitting alcohol, but the one most notable benefit for me was that all of my chronic anxiety soon resolved once I started on my alcohol freedom journey. So, having lived on both sides of the fence, I've become super interested in neuroscience and diving deep into addiction and how alcohol actually magnifies anxiety in women. And I want to tell you more coming up in a minute about what I experienced and how I finally managed to overcome almost 25 years of struggling with addiction and alcohol use disorder. So, now we're going to go over in simple terms how alcohol is literally fueling what we think is actually helping our anxiety. Perhaps you're feeling anxious at this very moment and even feeling overwhelmed or uncertain of where life is taking you. I know those feelings really well, so you are definitely not alone. And within the next few minutes, we're going to begin to learn exactly why it's very likely that alcohol could be fueling your anxiety. When I finally stopped drinking, all my anxiety resolved, and here's why. When we drink alcohol, it binds to GABA receptors, and that creates a temporary feeling of calm. However, the brain always strives for balance, and the total mind and body equilibrium is called homeostasis. So, to counter the alcohol sedative effect, our brains reduce their own GABA production and increase glutamate. Once the alcohol is metabolized, we're left with too much fuel, which is the glutamate, and not enough brake power, which is the GABA. The result of this is a racing heart and possibly even intrusive and ruminating thoughts, which are often referred to in 2026 as hangxiety. Many women, including myself, drink to weaken symptoms of daily anxiety, unaware that the relief is just a temporary chemical illusion. Alcohol is a known trigger for anxiety in women, often creating what's called a paradoxical effect, where a substance we consume, which we would typically use to relax, actually increases long-term distress. So while it initially acts as a sedative, the subsequent chemical rebound effect in the brain significantly heightens anxiety levels as the alcohol leaves the system. And this phenomenon is particularly pronounced more in women due to the biological differences that we have to men in things like our metabolism, our brain chemistry, and all those hormonal fluctuations that only us women experience. As the brain adapts to the presence of alcohol, it immediately crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it requires more of the substance, which in this case is alcohol, to achieve the same calm, relaxed feeling. While the baseline level of the anxiety between drinks, that actually continues to rise. I'm so passionate about helping other women like you who are struggling with their choices when it comes to drinking alcohol. And now that you have a little more insight into the fact that it's definitely not your imagination that alcohol is magnifying your anxiety, what can you do about it? I encourage you to get as much knowledge as you can, because knowledge is power. And coming up here in a second, I want to share with you how to get your power back. Personally, my alcohol use disorder kicked into high gear when I finally kicked my addiction, and then I got hit with a really stressful situation that literally consumed me in a very negative way for more than 2 years. Alcohol quietly stepped in to take over where the addiction had left off. But a few drinks and having fun with the girls rarely starts out that way, right? Any drinking habit we've developed usually starts slowly. Maybe you and the girls are just meeting up once or twice a week and you have a few glasses of wine. That's always innocent, and it's certainly not an issue, but then life just tends to happen, doesn't it? And maybe you've got a ton of work and kid pressure piling up. Or perhaps like me, you could have cracks that were appearing in your marriage. At some point, what was once a casual drink here and there seems to have turned into drinking with intention. And maybe you're a busy mum, you're working from home, and you start with a casual glass of wine at your desk like I did to take the edge off. Or maybe once you get that first buzz, you migrate yourself and your glass to the pantry and hide from your kids because they've started noticing you're drinking. And now, to add to your pressure even more, you've started to feel guilty. Our intention all along is just to ultimately feel better and self-soothe, because somewhere along the way, something changed. And drinking wine to self-soothe is so much easier than digging in and actually dealing with all of our stuff. The key to recognizing the issue we have with alcohol is admitting to yourself that the pain that you're drinking is causing you and now possibly your family outweighs any perceived benefit you once thought the alcohol was giving you. And if you're at a point where you know in your heart that you need to address this addiction that you've slowly developed with alcohol, catching yourself and recognizing in the very moment that your craving for alcohol hits you is critical to you being able to begin the reframing of your mind through neuroplasticity and changing how you choose to move right in that exact moment. We're not moving toward the alcohol and pouring a drink. Instead, we're moving toward our future and our freedom. The tools myself and many other women like you have used to build lasting transformation in their life are part of my free 5-day mini reset. You're going to find it in the description below. Quitting alcohol can feel so overwhelming for so many reasons. Maybe you're currently struggling like I was, and you're on a cycle of daily drinking and being constantly hungover. I call this the wine cycle. And gradually over time, it's turned into you drinking more alcohol than you ever anticipated. Now you've officially entered into the wine cycle superhighway, and you can't seem to find the exit. I pray that you've gained some value here on my channel today. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I've also pinned a question down in the comments. So with my help and the help of other women in this community, you can start to plan your future and get involved in this movement. There's been many studies specifically on women in recovery, and we now have evidence to suggest that women who seek out alcohol and addiction recovery in a group environment like this have a significantly higher success rate in overcoming their alcohol use disorder and their addictions when they're part of a women's only community. So welcome to your alcohol freedom journey. These signature techniques in the free 5-day mini reset work in real time, and it's what I did to finally break free from my alcohol addiction and rid myself of debilitating anxiety. Please don't put off until tomorrow what you can start today. Begin practicing how to travel with me and other women on your own personal alcohol freedom journey right here. I'll see you up here in the next video.